Over the weekend, Dave Chappelle hosted Saturday Night Live and addressed the recent actions of Kanye West and Kyrie Irving within his monologue. Now, Dave's set was met with divisive reviews, with some calling it brilliant and others criticizing Dave for normalizing anti-Semitism. CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt, sent a tweet out that read, "We shouldn't accept Dave Chappelle to serve as society's moral compass, but disturbing to see SNL not just normalize, but popularize anti-Semitism. Why are Jewish sensitivities denied and diminished at almost every turn? Why does our trauma trigger applause?" Within the mixture of support and outrage Dave's monologue is receiving, there does seem to be some confusion on what anti-Semitism is and what is considered offensive. Today we have our comedy hype analysts Capone and Pierre calling to the show to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
But before I start tonight, I just wanted to read a brief statement that I prepared. I denounce anti-Semitism in all its forms. I learned that there are two words in the English language that you should never say together in sequence: the and Jews. Kanye got in so much trouble, Kyrie got in trouble.
Now, as I mentioned, this is getting a lot of reviews. One person even tweeted, "I'm Jewish and thought Dave Chappelle was hilarious." So there are some people defending him, but also people going against him. So I'm interested to know, I'll start with you, Pierre. What was your reaction when you saw Dave's opening monologue on SNL?
Man, brilliant. I'm a comic and I consider myself brilliant. That was layered up beautifully. Every joke had a punchline that was tremendous, was thought-provoking, on point for this moment right now. You could have not have done a better stand-up comedy routine in 15 minutes. No way, ifs, ands, or buts. The way Chappelle brings you somewhere and then softly lets you go, it hits you, you know, he brings you and then he's like, he kind of does it with a smile. So he can deflect anybody's, normal people. Of course, some of the Jewish people out there, who are complaining now, the few, I could find anything, can find a problem in it. But I just think he delivered it with understanding, respect. It just made sense to me. I mean, all the way through, I was flabbergasted sitting there. I was just like, wow, that was just, it was, I'm a comic. It could not have been done any more perfect. It could not have done, and he didn't tap dance for nobody. You know what I'm saying? It was there. It was there. So there you go.
Yeah, I love the shoes that you brought into that. Capone, let me bring you in and get your thoughts as well. Now, like I said, a lot of people are going against Dave. However, there are people, including some Jews, that are defending Dave. They're saying, hey, I thought it was hilarious from top to bottom. So I'm interested to know, what was your reaction to Dave's opening monologue on SNL?
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was well put together. I thought he touched on a lot of different subjects. He talked about Kanye. He talked about Kyrie. He talked about this whole anti-Semitic thing. And my thing is, when does the world become this sensitive where you can't say anything about anybody? And what he said was not offensive. He kind of explained to us what anti-Semitic is. Also, are these people just sitting around looking for somebody to just attack when they say something? Like, if you can't mention just the name alone, it seems like it's a problem. Like, when does it calm down a little bit? And as a comedian, I'm gonna say what I want to say. I don't think that I've made it to that level where they can, what do you call that? When they get rid of
silence.
You. No.
Cancel. Yeah.
I'm not at that level, so I'll keep being the funny guy that I am.
Now, Capone, I think you bring up a great point, because I think there's a lot of people that have a lot of questions trying to figure out exactly what Dave said and what was considered anti-Semitic. So I want to read the definition, and then I'm going to come back and propose a question. So the definition reads: the belief or behavior hostile toward Jews just because they are Jewish. It may take the form of religious teachings that proclaim the inferiority of Jews, for instance, or political efforts to isolate, oppress, or otherwise injure them. It may also include prejudice or stereotype views about Jews. Now, Pierre, I'm going to bring this back to you. Based on the definition provided, do you think any of what Dave said can be seen as anti-Semitic?
No, not really. It's funny. Whenever you whenever you bring a a particular group into a comedy situation and you're not of that group, people get their feelings hurt that you said something. That's the same thing. You talked about poor whites, if you talk about the LGBTQ community, the Black community, Jews, anybody you talk about, if you're not one of them from that group, people are going to take it that way. They're going to take it like, oh, you're trying to attack me. And it's not that at all. It's just maybe explaining something to you or explaining somebody's point of view. What he said had nothing to do with defaming. What's the worst? He said that there are a lot of Jews in Hollywood. Like, is there not a lot of Jews in Hollywood? Is that a negative to say? It is in public. And again, I used to always wonder why do Jewish people hate to be associated with running Hollywood? Is it because Hollywood has a cesspool and puts out a lot of bullshit and mind fuckery and shit, and they don't want to be part of that? Let's look at some of the banks and see what some of them checks go into. If there's some Jewish names from Hollywood in Hollywood, well, let's see where them checks go into, what bank account, what name is associated with that bank account. If it doesn't have a, Ovitz or Stein or Berg, you know what I'm saying? So maybe that's it. I just don't understand. It's like Black people saying, we don't really play basketball. We don't run the NBA league as far as on court. Like we ain't all Black people doing that. Come on now. So I don't think what he said was anti-Semitic and evil spirited, none of that. But again, he's not a Jewish person, so they're gonna go against him. Had a Jewish comic did that routine, it would be, if Michael Rappaport had done that, it'd have been all right. All right.
Great point, Pierre. I love that. Capone, let me bring you in. Based on the definition provided, what do you think? Do you think any of what Dave said can be seen as anti-Semitic?
No, but that's just my opinion. I don't feel that we should be able to tell Jews how they feel, but I don't feel that everything that we say should be taken out of content. Every race is talked about. Every race, Black people like chicken, Puerto Ricans like rice and beans.
True.
Is that something to really get upset about? I mean, he's not mentioning. And when it comes down to us, it's always just get over it. I don't know the group that tells us that, but when it comes down to slavery, nobody likes to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it and, get over it. And when you talk about, so like Pierre says, certain people, it's always a problem. The LGBT don't like to be called this, and, they add different categories, and we don't know what that is. We don't live that life. So it's not common ground for us. And when things are not common ground, you kind of get interested in knowing a little bit of things without being offensive. You should be able to say something.
Right. Now, like I said, a lot of people are chiming in on this, and I find this tweet actually interesting because what they did was kind of flip what Jonathan Greenblatt tweeted, and they said we shouldn't expect, and they tagged Jonathan Greenblatt to serve as society's moral compass, but disturbing to see him not just normalize but popularize anti-Blackness. Why are Black sensitivities denied and diminished at almost every turn? Why does Black trauma trigger applause? So I think just like, a lot of people are just confused and has that same question of like, what exactly was said, but also there's a lot of, people being oppressed, especially in our community where things aren't said and not people not asking for allies on the behalf of us. But something else I found interesting, and Capone, I'm actually going to bring this to you, was, in his monologue, he also talks about being a comedian and how difficult it's becoming, in this climate where, as both of you have stated, people are just sensitive and not able to take jokes. So I want to ask you, and I'll start with you, Capone, do you agree with Dave saying that comedy is becoming more and more difficult?
I can't agree with that because I talk about everybody, but I don't go into it trying to offend anyone. I talk about things that I don't understand, and it's quite funny. And so me seeing two men kissing, I didn't know what that was. So when I talked about it, it's a funny situation. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Two men kissing, whether it's gay, bisexual, whatever the situation is something that I'm not used to, and I just talked about it. That's it.
Do you think, I guess the difficult part, do you think when you do talk about these things, just the climate that we're in, that you may receive some backlash, or there's a possibility to be, canceled more than maybe back then compared to now?
I think with other comedians that are ahead of me, yes, they trying everything to shut them up, and if you're not as popular as the Dave Chappelle and the Kevin Hart and some of the other guys, then You know, you can say what you want to say, but as long as you getting no TV money and that movie money and those concert money, that's a different thing. They feel like they're boosting you, so you shouldn't say nothing about them.
Pierre, let me bring you in on this. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with Dave saying that comedy is becoming more and more difficult in this climate that we're in?
It is, but let me, before I go to that, go there. So get ready for the keyboard comments. I don't know. It's not like we've been called names, we Black people, and no one's done anything about it. That's not true at all. It's been done many times when white people stepped over the line. It happened. I.e. nappy-headed hoes when he called it night. And Don Imus lost his job. I don't know if you remember that, called the Rutgers basketball female nappy-headed hoes. He had to go. The owner of the Clippers, when he made that conversation with that girl, she recorded, he had to lose his team. When Howard Cosell called a football player a monkey on the Monday Night Football, running like a monkey, he had to go. So they do get rid of people when they step across the line. Okay, not every situation. Some people gonna say, "Man, you shut up. Use your white side." Okay, but I'm trying to make it make sense here. When are we going to even let it roll as a comedian or out there, or when are we going to stop it all? But I think if we all trying to put each other's trauma against each other, it's never going to get done. You hurt me worse than I hurt you. You hurt me worse than I hurt you. You said, well, you said my thing. Well, then what is it? Then we might as well not say anything about anybody, because every group is going to cry and complain about being pulled or said something about. White people, you know, same thing. Black people, Latinos, whatever it is, Latino, Mexicans, LGBT. So as a comedian, can we just let it roll? Why can't we just let it roll? Because if we say, okay, let's let it roll, will Black people let it roll? Will white folks call us names and stuff, talk about us in a disparaging way? We're like, all right, fuck it, it's on. Y'all can say what you want. We're going to say what we want. If we're not going to get to that point, then we all need to cut out what we're going to say about each other, period. Because all this, you hurt me worse and my trauma's better than yours and worse than yours, is just going to keep going forever. Ever. It's going to go forever. So I don't know the solution. Do we let it all go out, let comics do what they want to do and be who they want to be on stage, or announcers be what they want? And if they made a Freudian slip, let it go? Or do we hold everybody, hey, man, once you say one wrong word, that's it for your career? I don't know where we're going to go with this, man. I hope as a comic, I can say what I want. I don't have any disparaging thing I want to say about any individual group. I might say something funny about an individual group that I think is funny. But if it's their feelings, they feel like, man, you know, stepped over the line. You're going to talk about us. Well, do I lose my job now? Like, so where are we going to go with it? Is that what we're going to play who has the worst trauma? Man, come on. It's outlandish.
No, I think both of you make great points. And I think, you know, a lot of people are kind of wondering the same thing as well. So I appreciate you both for chiming in on this topic. I know, you know, we'll kind of see things continue to unfold as things move forward. So we'll see exactly what happens from there. But of course, before we head out, I'd like to know what you have going on, and of course, how people can follow you. So Capone, I'm going to kick it over to you. What do you have coming up, and how can people follow you?
I had something to add to that, but
oh yeah, no, please add it. Please add it, and then close it out. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just wondering, how come it's so much heat on what comedians say, but they can make these movies, they can put out these videos, they can put all of this stuff on Instagram, and they don't get no heat from it. You know, directors, you know, they did the film. And why is there nothing? And then you got the distributing companies that put it out. Why is nothing being said about that? Why are we the only ones that are getting targeted to shut up? That's my question.
No, I love it. Hey, and that's what the comments are open for. So definitely put those replies down in the comment. I appreciate you adding to that as well. If you want to go ahead and close us out with what you have coming up and how can people follow you, I love that as well.
I will be in Cleveland this weekend, coming up at the Cleveland Improv. And I'm looking forward to being out there because I haven't been out there in a while. And Cleveland definitely shows a lot of love when I come out there. And you can follow me on Instagram at Comedian Capone. And the one rule that I have, if you can't spell comedian, don't follow me.
I love it. I love it. Always a guaranteed laugh there. Pierre, I'll kick it over to you. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
Well, my Black side will be will be performing on the 25th in Tinley Park Convention Center in Chicago, 25th of November. My other half will be in Germany from the 8th through the 11th for the servicemen in Germany doing shows. And December 11th in Washington, D.C., I'll be back at the City Winery in Washington, D.C., December 11th. And again, please watch the podcast. I appreciate the love and support y'all have shown for the podcast. We got something big about to drop. What is it? This next week, my special drops, Half Truth drops. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. So definitely put it in the comments. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, thank you both for chiming in on this topic. I always appreciate and respect your input. But of course, you heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Jewish people defending Dave Chappelle's opening monologue on SNL? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in the comments. Y'all was with me for the first. Y'all was with me for the first half.
What's up, y'all? This your boy K-Rob, and for years, you come to us to get the latest news in comedy and for your favorite comedians. Now you come to us for even more news in the world of sports, music, and pop culture. We're bringing you some of our classic shows you love, like Unforgotten, the Comedy Hype News Show, and more of our one-on-one interviews. We're more than just laughs, with the culture, the leaders in truth, and well, your streamer just got a little more blacker. Welcome to Hype Plus.